So hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now this video is going to be another update to my Great One Moose grind. Now I do think that at this point I'm going to be sticking with Medved Taiga as the map that I continue to grind moose on, purely because with restarting my account, Medved is the map that I have most unlocked at the moment, and I have a pretty good route now that's actually really efficient. I have managed to cut out a couple of zones in a couple of locations that really only had small stuff, and they're in really sort of hard to access or just poor access locations, and that's meant that I've been able to cut out some really sort of like I said, difficult to reach areas, which has made my route a lot more efficient. And with this increased efficiency, I've noticed that I've been getting a lot better respawns, and I think it is purely just because I am managing to get through more moose quicker, or at least it seems like I'm able to get through more moose quicker. The route feels so much more efficient, it takes so much less time, and the area that I cut out actually ends up being quite a decent chunk of the map, because I have like 2 zones that actually have males in, and like I said, they're only small, and they're in not great locations, so I have that whole section of the map, other than those couple of bulls, it's all cows, which is actually really nice, and I'm pretty lucky that that's how the map actually is at the moment. And then I have 1 or 2 zones up on the ice that again are really hard to access and only have small stuff in, so as with normal grinding, I am just leaving those zones and ignoring them and choosing not to do anything with them at the moment. I do go and check on them from time to time just to make sure nothing else has spawned, but whilst I don't actually need to, I'm not grinding those zones. I'm choosing to just grind the zones that I have better access to, and then that's making my route a ton more efficient. And that is just part of normal grinding, is trying to use some of your better zones and maybe leave out some of the ones that aren't so good, and that's exactly what's working for me right now. And I have had some really good success recently with just a lot of trophy animals actually spawning. I've had a lot of level 5s, a lot of trolls, but also a good amount of diamonds, also a couple of nice rares, which has been really interesting. But just the sheer amount of level 5s that have been spawning has been really awesome to see. In fact, it's been kind of crazy the amount that have just been spawning almost back to back, and multiple on the same runs, which has been really cool to actually see. So it almost feels like my RNG is improved a little bit, and that is a really nice thing to see, because I wasn't getting level 5s really that consistently before. And like I said, it could just be that because now I have a much more efficient route and I've really started to get that down to a bit more of a fine art, that, you know, by having that more efficiency, getting through them quicker, that then I'm seeing the better respawns quicker just because I'm being more efficient. And I think that's purely what it is, and that's really positive. At this point, I am 7,000 kills into this Great One Moose grind, so it makes sense that I am finally finding a route that feels more efficient. Before, where on my previous save, my moose zones were a lot more spread out, and I had, you know, really good zones in a lot of different locations, and it meant that I was having to try and sort of distribute my tents out across the entire map. Whereas, like I said, at the moment, I have a whole portion up in the northwest sort of side of the map that is 99% females, has a couple of zones that have just a couple of small bulls in it, and I'm able to just leave that out of my sort of rotation pretty much. And like I said, I do just check to make sure that nothing has spawned into those zones, because I have had that before where I've had bulls spawn into what was previously only female zones, but I haven't actually had that happening, so that's been really nice. It seems like my respawns are being pretty consistent and going back to the same locations, so that means, like I said, I get to leave out a good chunk of the map and just focus on the zones that do actually have bulls in them, because like I said, it's 90% cows in the northwest of the map for me. So that's actually a really positive thing, I think, that's come with this, because obviously with the new save, all of the zones are different, and that's always going to be, you know, the same for everybody. Everybody's zones are going to be laid out differently. Everyone's going to have, you know, males in different places and stuff. So I'm really lucky with how it's actually laid out on this new save. It's worked really well, and it, like I said, this new setup seems to be going pretty darn good for me. So I'm really hoping that eventually this Great One will end up spawning. It is a you know, it's a lot of 7,000 kills to try and get this great one. I didn't think that I would get to 7,000 kills, but that's just the way that it's ended up being, and I am just going to keep trying, and hopefully eventually I'll end up getting this great one. It's taking a very, very long time, but it means that if I do end up getting one, it will be so worth it in the end, and so rewarding. So in one aspect I don't really mind, but, you know, 7,000 kills, I'm really hoping that he will actually spawn. It does go through your head, you know, maybe there's something that is stopping it from spawning, maybe my game's bugged or something. Those thoughts naturally go through your head when you're seeing a lot of people get them in a lot less kills. And I don't know of anybody that's gone 7,000 plus moose without a Great One moose. So I'm just really, really hoping that one will spawn. And with this more efficient route, I'm more hopeful, and with my RNG being better at the moment, like I said, seeing a lot of level 5s and stuff, I'm hoping that that is a good sign, and that maybe my RNG will continue to be nice to me, and eventually throw up a level 10 instead of a level 5. Now, something else that you're going to notice in these clips is that I have actually decided on the weapon that I'm going to take my Great One with, that being the Miller Model 1891 Sheriff, which is a 10 gauge shotgun. And the reason I've decided to use a shotgun is because I've taken Great Ones with rifles, I've taken a Great One with a bow, I've taken a Great One with a handgun, but I've never taken a Great One with a shotgun. And I think that taking a Great One moose with a shotgun could be pretty cool. I will be, of course, using the 10 gauge slugs, which I think is just an interesting and slightly different way to take one out. I want to get really close to a Great One if it does spawn. I want to get, you know, right up as close as possible, take as many pictures as possible, get some close-up footage. So getting close to one isn't going to be too much of a problem. That's something I want to do anyway. So having a weapon that is range limited isn't going to be a huge problem for me. And I really like this particular model for the shotgun. It's beautiful, the engravings are stunning, and I really like what I've done with the customization and putting the sort of white paint on it. I think it looks really, really sleek with the white and black and then the gold engravings, and I'm super happy with that. And if I get to actually take a Great One with this, I will be really, really happy. I think it could be just something a little bit different. Taking a Great One moose with a shotgun feels just a little bit different to just taking it with a rifle, and I like to try and do something a little bit different. It's not extremely risky, and I don't like to be extremely risky with taking Great Ones, especially when it's, you know, my first one of that species. But, you know, it's got a little bit of risk with it being something a little bit different, but I think it's, you know, completely manageable risk, and I have been practicing with it, as you will see, which is something that I always do. If I decide, you know, I'm going to use this weapon or I'm going to do this specifically, then I will always practice that with diamonds in the lead up to actually getting a Great One. And as you will see throughout these clips, that is exactly what I've been doing. With the level 5s that have been spawning, I've mostly been taking them out with the shotgun at close range, and it's gone absolutely perfectly. I've not had any mess ups so far, touch wood, and that's been really fantastic, and I've actually really enjoyed the challenge of getting close to all these level 5s. The level 5 moose are super cool, and I absolutely love seeing them pop up. Like I said in previous videos, seeing the level 5s pop up gives me that little bit of hope that maybe a Great One will spawn, and that's why I said earlier, seeing the amount of level 5s that are spawning at the moment, that gives me a lot of hope, and that's why I'm pushing so hard at the moment, hoping that, you know, one might spawn while I've got this sort of lucky streak going on. So hopefully a Great One will spawn. But seeing the level 5s is just super cool anyway, and getting close to them and being able to take them with the shotgun is a lot of fun. And it's really cool to actually get as close as you can to these animals. I just think it's neat rather than taking them from longer distance. I always really enjoy getting up close to the animals in this game, so I've really been enjoying that. But that is pretty much going to be it for this video. A lot of trophies recently, like I said, a lot of level 5s, a lot of trolls, a lot of diamonds, some nice rares, which has been really nice to see. And mainly I just wanted to give you guys an update and, you know, let you know that I have hit 7,000 kills, and that at the moment I seem to be on a nice lucky streak, so hopefully with all these nice big respawns, one will eventually be the one that we're looking for. And also just talking about my slightly improved route. Like I said, there's only a few zones that I'm actually really leaving out in terms of males, but then poor zones in poor locations, and that is just part of normal grinding, is to try and locate your better zones and use those zones, as I said. So that's what I've decided to do at this point, and just try and make my run a little bit more efficient, rather than just, you know, always using all of the zones when they're always a bit spread out. Sometimes it's okay to just leave a couple of zones out and ignore them. And like I said, I do recommend, if you are doing that and you do have zones that you're leaving out, do check them from time to time, even if it is just females. Because like I said, I have had incidences where I've had female-only zones end up having bulls in them, just as random, you know, when they've respawned. So that's why I check every now and again, just in case. Especially if I start seeing, like, a lot of really small respawns or something, it makes me question if there's something big hiding on the map, and that has been the way a couple of times recently. I've noticed I've had a lot of small respawns, and then I've checked a couple of locations and boom, there's been a level 5 sat there in one of the locations where previously there was only females, or there was no moose before at all. So I do recommend just every now and again just check those extra locations. But there's nothing wrong with leaving a couple of zones out if they are way out of the way, like some of mine are. And that just helps with the efficiency. And at the end of the day, when we're getting into some of these numbers, especially of, you know, 7,000 plus, efficiency really does count. I'm trying to, you know, work through it as efficiently as possible, trying to get as many down as possible, and, you know, hopefully eventually, as I keep saying, hopefully eventually this great one will spawn. But that is going to be it for this video, so I really hope you have enjoyed it. Again, sorry for lack of other content whilst this moose grind is going on. I know it has been a long time now with this moose grind, but I'm just hoping that one will spawn. It's hundreds and hundreds of hours of work at this point, and I don't really want to, you know, end up not completing this grind. I wouldn't be happy if I ended up not completing it, just because I would feel like, I don't know, I would feel like I'd given up, and I don't really want to end up with that. I'd rather keep going and hopefully eventually get one of these things, and like I said, it will be a huge deal when one does actually spawn, and I'll be so ecstatic. So I'm just crossing my fingers that with all of this and with all of these thousands of kills, eventually one will spawn, and then it will all be worth it. But once again, a huge thank you for watching, and, you know, I really hope you have enjoyed it. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you're doing a Moose Great One grind and how it's going for you, because I always find it interesting to hear how other people's grinds are going, if, you know, if anyone else is getting into huge numbers without them, and what successes people have been having. It's always interesting to hear all of those different things. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.